Thank you so much.
Madhavi, you're muted, I guess. Yeah.
I am not able to unmute myself.
Yes, Madhavi, please continue. I think you're
Yes.
unmuted now.
Okay,
Yes.
I've finally been allowed to speak. So, good morning, everyone. As you know, this is a presentation by People for Animals, or PFA, and we are a wildlife welfare organization. Basically, PFA rescues wildlife and then releases it back into nature. Okay, so we are going to learn more about what our organization does, People for Animals. I'm just going to wait till this is, are we done with the setting of the status for everybody?
Yes.
Can I continue
Yes,
now?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can continue, ma'am. We have done all the settings. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Thank you so much. And yes, this is a request to all students. Please stay on mute throughout the presentation. So what we'll do is, during the presentation, I'll stop at a few points. At that point, I will ask if there are any questions or if anyone would like to share something. Then raise your virtual hand, and then your teacher will call out your name, and only then you can unmute and speak. So if you start speaking without permission, what will happen is that everyone is speaking at the same time. There will be lots of noise. We will waste time and no one will get a chance to speak. There'll just be noise. Yeah. So I really request everyone, let's have a fun session where half the time is not wasted saying, please students be on mute, please wait for your turn to speak. That's so boring, right? Half the time listening to that. But if we all cooperate and we all follow the rules, we can have a really fun session. So I'm really trusting all of the students. Stay on mute. When I ask if anyone has questions, only then raise your virtual hand. Your teacher will call out your name and then you will get turns to speak. Yeah, that way everyone will get a chance. No one will be left out and we won't waste any time. Is that good? Okay, so let's jump right in. We are going to start with a very nice presentation. So I will share my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can everyone, all students stay on mute, please? All students on mute only. Please do not speak. Even if I ask a question, it's actually to your teachers. Rest of you students must wait for your name to be called out to speak. If you start speaking out of turn, I'm sorry, you will lose your turn to speak. We won't take your question. Okay, thank you. So as I mentioned, we are PFA, People for Animals Bengaluru, and we run a wildlife hospital and also a wildlife rescue and conservation center. We'll find out what all this is, so don't worry. Some of you may be curious about this cute little creature in the picture. It's called a slender loris. It actually lives right here in Bengaluru, and it's a very rare animal, very rare, because the trees are disappearing and it likes to live only in trees. Yeah, but let's hope we all take care of the city so this animal does not disappear. All right, let's move on. So this session that we are doing is called Living with the Wild, you and I. So, oh my gosh, so many exciting looking comic superheroes here. So we see Batman, we see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we see Spider-Man, Hawkeye. But have you noticed Bat, Spider, Hawk, Turtle? So many of us superheroes are named after animals. Why is that? Why do we do that? It's because animals are amazing. They have so many things, so many abilities, so many powers that most of us don't even know about. So Bats can fly in the dark using echolocation. Now, what they do is they send out a sound, and when the sound bounces back, they have the ability to listen to that bounced back sound. And because of that, they know how to avoid objects in the dark. And even if it's totally dark, they can fly without hitting anything. It's an amazing superpower. And turtles, they may seem very slow and they may seem boring, but actually they have this fantastic shell, which is really strong and it can resist most things in nature. Even if it's a big predator like a tiger trying to attack the turtle, it'll just pull all its soft parts like the legs and head inside, and the tiger won't be able to break the shield. And here is a spider. Even though it's so tiny, it makes this web out of a tight.
Mom, you're muted.
A request to the organizers, please be careful not to mute me. I won't realize if I'm going to be muted every second minute. All right. So please silence everyone. Mute students, you will stay on mute. You don't need to say anything further. Thank you. So spider silk is very, very strong. If it was bigger and it was the size of steel, it would actually be stronger than steel. And a hawk can see 8 times better than us. So we may think that birds are flying up there, they can't see, but they, as you may have noticed, they look down as they fly and they can see things even on the ground. And those things may be, things that they want to eat. So they have this amazing ability.
Mom?
So who lives in our city? When we think about our city, we only think about So we only think about human beings, right? We think about our friends, our families, our classmates, teachers, but there are so many animals that live in our city. But animals, you may think, oh, like our cats and dogs, but actually there are many, many more. So we have more than 100 lakh human beings, and they may be our friends and family. We also have pets who live with us. But the biggest surprise is we have lots of wildlife in the city. We all think wildlife is something that lives far away in the forest. We have to go somewhere and go on a safari to see it. But actually, wildlife is all around us. So what is this urban wildlife? And you may think urban is city, and wildlife means animals that are free to go and live their life without any help or interference from human beings. So we are not talking about pets and domestic animals like cats, dogs, cows, chickens. These are not wildlife. These are domestic animals and pets. We keep them with us, we feed them, we give them shelter. They are completely dependent on us. So this is not the type of animal we are talking about. We are also not talking about feral or stray animals. Feral is another word for stray animals. These are animals you may see roaming on the road. They don't depend on humans, but they do stay close to our houses, our buildings, everything, right? This category also includes animals we call pests. Now, pests are animals that can harm human beings. They may cause diseases. Usually, these are animals that can multiply very fast. So, if there is one animal today or two animals, quickly they become more and more and more. Their population increases very fast, and because of that, they can spread a lot of diseases to us. So this includes animals like rats that live close to human houses, sometimes even come into houses and can cause
Ma'am, you're muted.
Ma'am, you're muted.
Yes.
Ma'am, you're muted. Ma'am.
Ma'am, I think your mic is muted. None of us have done that.
I
Madhavi?
have not, I'm not muting my mic. I'm not even touching the controls. I'm just looking at the presentation right now. So someone outside is muting me. I don't know if some child still has presenter.
No, ma'am.
ability.
Someone is Rashmi is a presenter.
Yes, because I am not muting.
Ma'am, you're again muted.
Ma'am, you're muted. I also muted. Ma'am, it looks like it's Karthik here. Adriya is also present.
Yes, now I'm finally able to unmute myself. Each time I'm getting muted by someone else and I'm not able to unmute myself. So organizers, please make sure that students don't have.
Ma'am, there's some technical glitch, ma'am.
Okay, so yeah, please know that on my side, I'm not even touching the controls. I'm not muting myself. I'm getting unmuted by someone else, and then I don't have the.
Happens, ma'am. No, ma'am.
I don't have.
Madhavi, ma'am, no, we are not muted, ma'am. Like
Okay.
it happens by mistake. Sometimes it happens, ma'am.
Okay, so
You
then
can
could
continue,
you,
ma'am.
yeah. So I would just request the organizers to please keep an eye out. If you see that I am suddenly muted, can you please unmute me? Thank you. All right. Okay, going back to our presentation. So what we are talking about is truly wild animals. Wild means living in nature by themselves without any help or interference from human beings. These are all the birds, squirrels, monkeys, and every other creature that you see around. And this is where PFA comes in. PFA rescues, treats, and releases wild animals. Now, PFA also has a pet clinic for pets like dogs and cats, but that's separate. That's not part of the Wildlife Rescue and Conservation Center. Okay, so now I can take some questions. If anyone has questions, would you like to ask? Students, remember, raise your virtual hand, and the teachers will select who will speak, and only then you can speak.
Advita, you can ask the question.
Ma'am,
Yes.
I have tortoise and dog.
Okay.
Do us to download and send.
Yeah, Advita. So thanks for sharing that. These are, as you said,
Somebody disabled my mic.
Agriya, can you just raise your hand here? I'm calling the name and then they can ask to Madhavi ma'am, okay?
Okay. So
Janvi?
Advita, yes, we keep some animals sometimes with us at home. These are pet animals, yeah? And once you have a pet animal, remember, you must take care of it fully for the whole life. You can never take a pet animal and put it out on the road or into nature. Yeah, that is a very bad thing to do because the pet animal is fully dependent on human and doesn't know how to take care of itself. Okay, so thank you. Next person.
Ma'am?
Janvi?
Meenakshi, ma'am, you can guide them, ma'am. Janvi, you can unmute and speak. Janvi, you can ask your question.
Ma'am, I actually don't think Advita said that she had a tortoise.
Oh, okay. All right.
Ma'am, it was Vedika who said that.
Okay. Janvi?
Ma'am, my dog was
Okay,
at the
Advita and Janvi, put your hands. If you don't have a question,
Remember, let's keep our questions only about what you have seen so far in the presentation. Okay. We will do general sharing and general ideas later.
Sriyash?
Right now, only about the presentation.
Srihash, you can ask your doubt.
Ma'am, I doubt. Ma'am, this is Janvi. I had a doubt, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead, Janvi.
Ma'am, my doubt was that the feral animals and the wild animals, is there any difference between them? Because the feral animals also live without any interference, and the wild animals also live
True.
without any.
Very good question. Very good question. You are right. But the feral animals are much more dependent on human beings. Typically, they depend on eating garbage or things that human beings have given, like thrown out of their houses, right? So they are still dependent on human beings in some way most of the time. Also, many of the feral animals or stray animals used to be pets once upon a time, or they have become pests, right? So they usually are in these two categories. So they could be like dogs and cats, which once upon a time they were pets, and people who didn't do the right thing released them onto the street, and now they have become stray animals. So actually they are really pets. And on the other hand, we have animals like rats, which are wild, but they feed on our garbage, and they can cause a lot of harm, lot of diseases to human beings. So we call them pests. Yeah. There are some other types of rats which live naturally in the forest. There are other types, species of rats and mice that live in the forest. We don't consider those pests because they don't cause any harm to humans. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Ma'am, I also have a question.
No
Shreya,
one will speak. I'm sorry. No one speaks out of turn. We are not going to take questions where people just start talking. So teachers, next student, please.
Shriharsh. Shriharsh. Okay, Nia.
Ma'am, why can't a slender turn into a bat?
Why can't a what turn into a bat?
The slender, ma'am.
Slender loris, the first picture that you saw, is that what you're talking about?
Ma'am.
Sorry, Shriharsh, your
Yes,
line
ma'am,
is
I'm talking
okay.
about
Slender
slender
loris. It's called a loris, and it's an animal like any other. Can a human being suddenly turn into something else? Can we suddenly turn into an elephant or a tiger? No, right? So the same way, a loris is an animal by itself. It's a type of animal. We call it a species of animal, and it has to live its whole life like a loris. It can't suddenly turn into something else. Yeah. So bats are different and loris are different. Yeah. Okay.
Nia.
All right. One last question and we'll continue with the presentation. Rest of you, don't worry. We will take more questions later. So just hold on to your questions. Keep them in your mind or write them down.
Nia.
Ma'am, can I ask?
Okay. All right. If she's not ready, then let's put.
Ma'am, this is Agriya. Can I ask?
No, I'm sorry, Agriya, you're asking out of turn, so you cannot ask right now, but we'll move ahead with the presentation. Next time, please raise your hand and we can give you a turn to speak. All right, let's move on with the presentation. So these amazing wild animals live all around us, and most of us may have noticed a few, but there are others that we have may live there, but we paid no attention and we don't even know. So look at, now I'm going to show you how many different types of animals are right here in the city. So don't worry about their names, but just look at so many different types, right? There's mammals and reptiles and birds, so many different types right here living with us. Yeah. But where do they live? How come we have never seen them? They are in trees. Some of them live in parks. Some live in fields or lakes. Some are right here in our buildings. Some live underground. It's just that we as humans don't pay any attention to them. We don't observe them. And so most of us don't even know about them. So why are we bothering about wild animals? Why do we keep talking about wild animals? Now, pets, we know they are like our family. We love them. They love us back. So of course we care about them. But why should we care about wild animals? What are they doing for us? How does it matter to us if there are wild animals? Now, wild animals actually do a huge amount for human beings, and we don't even know. They are doing amazing things in our city, which are very, very helpful for human beings. And we don't realize that they are helping us. Okay, so one of the first ways they help us is they pollinate plants. Now, you can see there are bees, butterflies, and different types of birds, including sunbirds. And because they pollinate plants, these flowers can turn into fruit and seeds. Now, so what? So what if they turn into fruit and seeds? What's the use of that? Here we come to the second one. Parakeets, fruit bats, and macaques, they disperse the seeds. Now, as you know, plants cannot move, so they need help from birds and animals to take their seeds and put them somewhere else so that new plants can grow. So this whole process of pollination and seed dispersal is very, very important so that new plants, new trees can grow. Without all these animals, there would be no new trees in our city. Human beings, we plant a few trees, but that's a very small number. Most of the trees in our city are actually planted by these birds and animals. And why should we care whether there are trees or not in our city? Because trees do so much for us. They purify the air. Many of you may have heard that our city has very polluted air, lots of traffic, releasing smoke, lot of industries releasing smoke. So trees take in that smoke and release oxygen, which we need to breathe. So they purify the air for us. They also cool down the air. Any of you who have been out walking during summer, if you're walking under the sun, you know how hot it is. You're sweating, feeling so hot. But the moment you walk under a tree, it feels so nice and cool, right? Full of shade. So as you can see, trees cool down the air, cool down our city. And the third, which you may not have heard, they also hold groundwater. So when rainwater falls on the ground, it goes inside, and because of the roots of the tree, that water stays there like a sponge. And then if we want to take out this water, we may dig a bore well or a well, and we can pump out this water. And many people in Bangalore actually take bore well water. They need bore well water for their daily use. Okay, so animals help plant most of the trees, and trees are very helpful to us. Now the third is they also eat up unwanted things, things that we have thrown away, things that we don't want, dead things. So you can see that crows, kite, and fish, they eat up dead things, eat up things that we think are garbage, but actually they treat it as food and they eat it up. So it's like free cleaning for us. If these animals were not there, we would have to pay human beings to do this dirty work. But instead, these animals do it happily for free. So thanks to them, our city is cleaner. They also control pests and diseases. So there are many animals that eat up pests. So like this rat snake eats up rats. Barn owls also eat mice and rats, and insect bats eat insects. And all these creatures like rats and insects cause diseases to human beings. And what these animals do is they keep the population under control. If these animals were not there in our city, the number of rats would just become more and more and more. And because of that, the rats would start coming into our house, cause a lot of problems to humans. But we don't have to worry. Thanks to these animals, the population is kept under control. Yeah, so these animals help us out in so many ways. They pollinate plants, they disperse seeds, they keep the city clean by cleaning up all the unwanted things, and they also control pests and diseases. Yeah, so are there any questions now?
Kids, please raise your hand, then I can give you the access.
Yeah, only raise your hand, and please remember, if you've got a chance earlier, give a chance to someone else. If those who have spoken, please give a chance to others.
Shreya.
Ma'am, we can just unmute the children who have raised their hand, ma'am. We need not unmute.
Yes. Shreya.
Ma'am, this was the question from the before slide.
Sure.
Where like wolves are basically dogs, so how can we have them as pets?
Right. You are right. Wolves are not basically dogs. Remember what we talked about? How animals are different. Like each type of animal is a different species. So dogs evolved from wolves. Right now, if you put a dog and a wolf in the same place, they are not the same. Yeah, they are two completely different animals. Long ago, millions of years ago, there were no dogs, there were only wolves. Slowly, some wolves became dogs, right? But today, dogs and wolves are completely different. Dogs are pet animals that stay with humans. Wolves are completely wild animals that live by themselves in nature. Okay, does that answer your question? Okay,
Yes.
moving on.
Sudeva.
Ma'am, this is Sudhira, ma'am. I have a doubt.
Sure.
Ma'am, if the wild animals, if the urban wildlife, they eat all the unwanted things, isn't it bad, ma'am? Because they eat all of the garbage and they will end up dying, ma'am.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. So you are right. So Deva, sometimes what happens is the garbage which we put is all mixed up garbage, not just food waste, but we throw plastic, we throw all bad and toxic chemicals. Now that is harmful for all creatures, right? If any creature eats plastic, it will go in its stomach and it will cause lot of problems, lot of diseases, right? So you are absolutely right. Human beings, we should not actually be throwing our garbage like this, all mixed. If there was only food waste, right? Even food waste, which we would not eat, right? Different animals have different abilities. Okay, so what may be for us, suppose there's a dead rat on the road. If a human being went and ate that dead rat, we would fall very sick. We would have to be rushed to the hospital, right? Because it's not good for us. But on the other hand, if a kite, a bird, ate that dead rat, it has the ability, its stomach has the necessary chemicals in the stomach to digest that dead rat. So it can eat the dead rat and nothing will happen to it. It will be fine and it will be healthy. Yeah. So two things. One, human beings should not throw all mixed garbage. We should segregate our waste. We should not be throwing so much plastic and chemicals and all that, only food. Second thing is different animals have different food that they eat. What is dangerous for one may be safe for another. Yes. Okay. Next question.
Kahan.
I actually don't have a question. I just want to tell one thing.
Okay.
COVID is actually good because the cars don't come so much out.
Yes. Yes, you are right in one way. COVID has caused a lot of problems for us human beings, but there are some side benefits which we were not expecting. But because people are not driving so much, because there's less traffic, the air had become much cleaner during the lockdowns, and that actually was better. So I can tell you from my own experience. Now, I am someone who has this illness called asthma, right? You might have heard about it. If the air is very polluted, it causes me to cough a lot and I fall sick. So actually during the lockdowns, when the air was cleaner, I could breathe much more easily. And I was so happy that after a long time, I could breathe so freely. Yeah, so it is true. What you said is true. Yeah. Next question.
Nia.
Sometimes hawks, monkeys, and squirrels come to near our building.
Yes. So
even monkeys.
Yes, many times these wild animals come close to human buildings because they don't know, right, that these buildings are something that humans have made and this is only for human beings. They see a tree and maybe if that tree has fruit, suppose there's a guava tree, right? And there's a guava tree which is in your compound or near your house. Now the monkey doesn't know this tree belongs to this human being. They just see a tree with guavas and they come to feed, right? So that's one thing. The second thing is sometimes human beings don't understand. They don't know enough and they think, oh, let me be kind and feed these animals. Let me put my food, yesterday's rice or some other food out, and these poor animals can come and eat, and then I will feel like I'm being so kind. But that is actually a very wrong thing to do, because you should never ever feed wild animals. Wild animals do not like human food actually. It is not good for their health. Like we said, different animals need different food. So if they eat our rice and the kind of food we eat, they will fall sick. Also, wild animals should not become dependent on human beings. Now, if someone, say your neighbor, starts feeding the monkey, okay, that neighbor keeps out bananas. Every day the neighbor keeps out bananas. Then now the monkeys will become dependent. They will say, okay, this is how to get food. Just come, sit here, and some bananas will appear and we will eat them, right? So they will not understand and they will become dependent on the human being. Now, suppose your neighbor goes for a holiday somewhere and there are no bananas. Now, what will these poor monkeys eat? They are so hungry and they have got so used to that humans will give us food. So they will try to go into someone's house. They will try to enter your kitchen or your house to try to search for food, right? So this is a mistake that human beings, we make when we feed wild animals. We should never feed wild animals. Let them find their own food. Yeah. Okay. One last question and we'll move on. Don't worry. Keep your questions in your mind or write them down. I'll take it next time. Okay. One more question.
Shravya Anand.
Ma'am, once a monkey came inside my balcony.
Yes, sometimes they come inside our balcony. Sometimes in my house, they have even come into my house. Once I was working on my computer in my room and I heard some noise and I came to the hall and there was a whole group of monkeys sitting on the sofa, sitting on my dining table, all of them sitting around. And they must have seen some fruit on the dining table and they had come to eat that. And the reason it happened is someone in my building before that, not me, but someone else must have been feeding them. So now they have got used to the idea. If we are hungry, if we want food, just go near some human being and you will find food, right? So this is a wrong thing because of what humans have done. Yeah. Okay, let's move on with the presentation now. So let's learn a little more about snakes. We talked about rat snakes. Many people have made up all kinds of stories about snakes which are not true at all. So snakes do not drink milk. You might have heard about this festival called Nagapanchami, when people, give milk to snakes and they are supposed to drink it, but that is all not true. Milk is not the usual food of snakes. Snakes eat many different types of things. The snakes you see on the screen here, cobras and rat snakes, usually eat small creatures like rats or mice or lizards or things like that. Okay, you might have also seen these stories in movies where if one snake is killed, then its mate will hunt you down and take revenge. That is also all nonsense. No snake takes revenge. Snakes are not interested in humans. They don't want to chase us or cause us any harm. If a snake attacks a human being, there's only one reason for it. It is scared of the human being. Most wild animals are actually scared of humans, scared of people. And sometimes we, without realizing, behave in a way which to the snake, to the wild animal, may seem like a threat. It may think, oh my God, this human being is attacking me. What to do? I have to defend myself. I'm going to attack it so that I can defend and save my life, right? So that's the only reason snakes attack. Then snakes don't hear at all because they don't have ears. They cannot hear. So you might have seen either yourself or maybe in some video, a snake charmer with his instrument, that special instrument, and then the snake supposedly dancing to it. Again, not true. The snake can't hear the snake charmer. What it's doing is the snake charmer moves his body and the snake is mimicking that same action. Yeah, and not all snakes have venom or poison. Yeah, this is something that most people, everybody's scared of snakes. Oh no, we have to be panic if we see a snake. No, that is not true. The majority of snakes don't have venom, don't have poison, and are completely harmless to humans. Yes, there are some snakes like cobra and others which do have venom, and if they bite you, it is very deadly. But get panicking and running and shouting and causing a commotion near a snake is the wrong thing to do. Anytime you see a snake, stay calm, stay still, stay quiet, and if possible, slowly back away from it. Give it space so that it can escape. That is all it wants. It is not interested in humans. All it wants to do is escape from there. And as long as you don't run and shout and cause a commotion, it will escape and you will be safe, and it will also be safe. So, like all plants and animals, we are a part of nature. Many times we forget we are also an animal. Just like the other animals, we also have a similar type of body with similar type of organs. All animals are very, very similar in many ways. And as we saw, we depend on each other. Animals do so many helpful things for us. And if they live, only then we can live. Without them, we will also struggle to live. Okay, so that's why PFA has started this wildlife hospital and rescue center, so that we can help these wild animals which are so helpful to us, right? So what happens? What do we do in PFA? So suppose someone sees a small animal which is lost or it's hurt in some way. It cannot lead its life in nature. There's something wrong that has happened, right? Suppose a bird has fallen from its nest, or some animal had an accident, maybe on the road with the fast moving traffic. It got hurt, right? And what will this poor animal do? It cannot eat, it cannot move. So that's where PFA comes in to help. You can call up PFA. There's a rescue hotline where you can call any time of the day or night, 24 hours, 7 days a week, any day of the week. And immediately rescuers will come to the spot where you are, and they will take this animal, keep it very safely in a box, and then take it to the rescue center. So this is the first step, rescuing an animal which may be hurt, lost, or orphaned. Orphaned means where it's a baby animal, but the parents are nowhere to be seen. Either the parents have got killed, or maybe the animal has fallen somewhere far away from the parents and the parents don't know where it is, right? So here is a video of a snake rescue which had come into the house. Okay, so as you saw, the snake was just looking for a sort of, it always looks for some dark, small place where it can escape. And this rescuer, remember, very well trained for many years. Not everybody can do it. Suddenly today, if I see a snake and I say, oh, I'm going to be brave, I will rescue the snake. Very bad idea, because it takes lots of training to know how to handle the snake properly, so that it doesn't attack you and it also doesn't get harmed. And the moment you give the snake a sort of safe dark spot, like this rescuer did in the bag, the snake goes in the bag and then it can be taken away. Yeah. So you can see many other types of animals. There's an owl, more snakes, a macaque or a monkey, all being rescued. Again, all these rescuers are very well trained. They know exactly how each animal should be handled, each animal should be rescued in a certain way. Not everyone can just go and start touching wild animals. That's not a good idea. Now, just as we know, if a human being falls very sick and needs to go to the hospital, sometimes we need an ambulance. Same way for wildlife also, we have ambulances, and these are to treat the injured animals. And just to let you know, you may see wild animals kept by human beings, right? To do a dance, or in a cage to do some fortune telling, or like you can see the snake charmer, or maybe to sell as pets. All this is illegal. It's against the law. There is a special law in India for wildlife. If anyone keeps wild animals with them at home, or it tries to buy or sell wild animals, they can be put in jail because of this law. And there's a very hefty fine as well. Yeah, so all these are illegal. The reason is this law is supposed to protect wildlife. It's supposed to save wildlife. We don't want wild animals trapped and made to dance for humans, or kept in a cage, or any of these things. It's not fair to them. They are wild and they will belong in nature. They should live their own life. They should not be made trapped and made to perform for humans. Yeah. So coming to the next. So now we have seen the animal has been rescued and brought to the hospital. Now, what happens in a hospital or a doctor's clinic if you go? The first thing that doctor does is give you a checkup, right? The doctor checks you to see what is wrong with you. Do you have a cough? Have you fallen? And have you, scraped yourself or broken a bone? Same way in the PFA, they have doctors for animals, which are called veterinarians, or for short, vets, right? So there are expert vets, trained vets, who will then examine, check the animal, and then decide, is this, which type of treatment should we give this animal so that the animal will get better, will recover. So the second step is recovery. We want the animal to get the proper treatment so that it gets healthy again. Yeah, so you can see here, diagnosis is where the doctor checks the animal, and treatment is where they decide what do we need to do so that this animal can become healthy again. And you can see here, the vets are checking the animals. They're checking a deer, a bird, and this beautiful animal called a pangolin. Most of us have never seen it, but it does live on the outskirts of our city. And you can see here, gray slender loris, which we talked about earlier, was rescued and is being weighed. And sometimes, just like humans, animals may also break their bones. They may have an injury or accident and they may get, a bone might break. So there are X-ray facilities in the PFA hospital. An animal can be X-rayed and they can check if a bone has broken, right? Here you can see they are checking a monitor lizard for a broken bone. They also have ICU, or intensive care unit. Some of you who have been to a hospital, human hospital, know that such a thing exists even in human hospitals. This is when an animal is very, very sick and needs lots of care, lots of treatment. Then we put them in the ICU. You can see how all these different birds have received treatment, and you can see they've been bandaged up. Hopefully within a few days, they will heal and they will get better. Yeah. And you can see they, like human beings, suppose you get a very bad fracture, then you will need to go and the doctor will have to do some small operation. Operation is also known as surgery. So same way for animals also we have surgery. Here a poor turtle was crossing the road and it might have got a very bad accident. As you know, turtles move very slowly, but cars and buses and trucks move very fast. And because they are so huge and moving so fast, even this shell, which is actually so strong, can break. And it's like a human being getting a fracture. So here these vets are helping to join the bone so that it can heal properly. You can see they have put some pins so that after some days, the bone will again join up and the turtle will be back to normal. Even snakes can get fractures. Here a snake is being healed. We may think snakes, the way they move, they don't have bones, but actually they have lots of bones inside. There's also other types of therapy like infrared therapy and of course medicines, right? The first thing, all of us when we fall sick, we may need some medicines. Same way animals can also be given medicines. Remember, these medicines are specially for that type of animal. It's not human medicines. So it's not like if we see a sick animal in our balcony, we can just give some human medicine to it. No, that won't work. It will make the animal even more sick. So sometimes, as I said, a small baby, a newborn baby may have fallen from its nest. Maybe a human being cut off the branch of the tree or cut down the tree itself, and this poor baby has lost its home. So we keep it safely in PFA in these places called incubators. They basically, babies don't have fur, so they feel very cold. So they need a warm place. Normally they would snuggle up to their mother and the mother would give the baby warmth from her body. But because the mother is not there, we give the warmth in these incubators. Yeah. So now we go to the third step. So far we have rescued the animal and we have helped it to recovery, right? The third step is rehabilitation. Now this is a big word. What does it mean? It means we have to give them proper food and also train them so that they can live in the wild. Remember, these may be small babies who have never lived in the wild, right? They have always lived in our PFA center. They have not seen how their parents catch animals, what their parents feed on. Normally, all wild animals just copy whatever their parents are doing. So if a squirrel sees, oh, this is the tree my mother goes and eats this fruit, then the animal learns that, oh, I have to also do the same thing. But they don't get a chance. So we have to teach them again. We have to teach them what to do, right? So here you can see babies are being fed. Of course, we cannot suddenly release a baby into the wild. It won't be able to live by itself. Imagine a human baby, how helpless they are, right? Can you imagine someone just putting a human baby alone somewhere? Will it be able to feed? Will it be able to do? It can't do anything, right? It needs its family. So same way here, these babies have to be fed, taken care of till they grow into adults and they are able to take care of themselves. So you can see more. So you could see a baby sunbird being fed. Here you can see another picture of it where they have done a very clever thing by attaching a flower. This is what a sunbird would do in nature. It puts its head inside the flower and it sucks nectar. So they have attached a syringe to the flower so that the bird learns that when it's out in nature finally, it should put its head in the flower and suck. Then it will get the nectar, right? So same way other creatures like this barbet and fruit bat are also being fed. And you can see there's a baby macaque here, there's a civet and a turtle. Each creature, depending on its type, on its age, needs different type of food, right? So each animal is given different food according to what it needs so that all of them can grow up, grow healthy and strong and be ready for nature. Sometimes not just babies, as you know, birds and reptiles lay eggs, right? Sometimes a nest may be left and there are eggs in it. We even take eggs and keep them safely and put them in those incubators so that they get the right heat. And eventually, maybe in a few days or weeks, they may hatch and a small baby bird, or in this case, a turtle, hatches out of it. And then we take care of those animals till they are ready for nature. Yeah. In addition to food, we also need to keep all the animals clean. You can see there's a small baby macaque or a monkey getting a bath. And here's a very interesting story. This is actually a jackal, and some villagers had kept this when they saw this jackal when it was a small puppy. And just as someone mentioned in the beginning, wolves and dogs, they are very similar, but not the same, right? But they thought, they looked at this puppy and thought, oh, it's just a dog, so let's keep it with us. But then as the puppy started to grow, it started to look very different. It started to hunt all the chickens in the neighborhood, right? Then they realized, oh no, this is not an ordinary dog, it's something else. So that's when PFA stepped in and took this animal in. It's actually a jackal. And while we had to train this animal again, because all its life it had been kept as a pet, we had to train this animal so that it would be ready for the wild. It knew how to hunt, how to take care of itself. Yeah. So meanwhile, we gave it a very comfortable place. Jackals like to have a sort of a little cave, a little hole for themselves. So that was specially built for this jackal so that it could feel just like it would feel in nature. Yeah. Same way, this is a Malabar giant squirrel. It's not a common species here in Bangalore. It's actually something that's found only in the forest. But again, some bad people had taken a baby from the forest and they had sold it as a pet. And so this poor animal, instead of living happily with its friend and family in the forest, was living with human beings. So it needed to be rescued. And while it was in the PFA Rescue Center, we gave it a proper box so that it could be, snuggle comfortably for the night. We gave it lots of leaves and trees. We gave it the proper food. We also put lots of different things where it could climb and jump and do all the things that you used to do in nature. Yeah. And as we take care of these animals, slowly, as the weeks pass, they grow up. So you can see this small baby dove that was so tiny has now grown up into an adult. And as they grow up, they learn how to take care of themselves. Here you can see this bird called a heron. It lives near our lakes and it catches fish. So we have made a pond and put the fish in there, live fish, and these birds are learning to catch the fish for themselves. And slowly, with the passing of the weeks, the small babies become adults, they become independent, they know how to take care of themselves, which brings us to step 4, which is our favorite step, which is release. We release them back into their natural habitat, into the wild. So here you can see many cases of birds being left into the wild again. And here's one more of release of a pelican. So PFA actually rescues thousands and thousands of animals, more than 25,000 animals. In fact, every month, PFA rescues about 250 animals and of 202 different types or species. So all different types of birds, mammals, reptiles, snakes, you can see turtles here. So lots and lots of different types of wild animals. So now, question for students. Can someone name the 4 steps that we talked about? Would anyone like to try? I can help you out. Don't worry if you are not able to recollect exactly. The 4 steps.
Shaina again.
Yes, go ahead, Shaina.
Ma'am, there was rescue.
Wonderful. Rescue is where the injured animal is taken to the rescue center. Very good. Next step. Then the vets. Yes, the vets have to help it get better. What did we call that? It also starts with R. All the 4 steps start with R. So we have to help it recovery, right? Recovery. Yeah, so if it
Recover.
is not well, we have to make it get better. Recovery. Third step, we have to
Ma'am,
give,
we have to give it food and we have to prepare
yes,
it for the wild.
while wonderful. We call that rehabilitation. Rehabilitation. And the last step, our favorite step is
Release.
release. Yes, back to the wild, back to nature, free, right? So that's our favorite. Okay, any questions? You can ask them. Anyone
Leona,
have questions?
Leona.
Ma'am, actually, I didn't want to say a question. Ma'am, I just wanted to say yesterday only a snake came into my garden.
Okay. Most
Ma'am?
of the time, if a snake comes into our garden or a compound, we can just let it be. By itself, it will go away. You don't need to call PFA or do anything. But if it gets hurt or it actually comes into your house, then you can call PFA and we can come and do a rescue. Yeah.
Ma'am, after a few minutes, it just went out.
Exactly. Most of the time, snakes come. They might have come to check out, right? Sometimes when we are walking on the road, we are not sure of the address. We may go to the wrong road. Then we look around and we realize, no, this is not the place. Let me go to the next road, right? So the same way with animals. They may come into your garden by mistake, realize, no, this is not where I need to be, and go away by themselves. Yeah. Okay. One more question.
Anvesha. Okay, Anvesha is not. Okay, then. Aratrika.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, so a few animals feed on fish and few animals feed on rats and all those stuff.
Yes.
So you told no animal should be killed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the fishes, the rats get killed.
Yes,
They also,
yes.
they also animals.
True,
Right, ma'am?
true. Very good question. I really like your question. So you are right in that. You are right that some animals will be killed, but think about nature. Okay. In nature, all animals have to feed on something else. They may feed on plants or on other animals. That is what nature is, right? So what we are doing is the same as nature. We are not trying to do anything new, right? If this animal was in nature by itself, anyway it could kill a fish, right? So only those animals are given the fish, right? So we are not killing any animals unnecessarily, right? So this heron or this monkey or this snake would eat the same food if it was out in wild. So PFA is not unnecessarily killing any creature. Yeah, we are only doing whatever would happen in nature anyway. Anyway, if human beings were not there, the same thing would happen. Yeah? Okay, moving on. One last question before we continue.
Disha Ravi.
Ma'am, this is not a question. I just wanted to say, cats and dogs actually see in gray and white.
Okay, so that's Disha, that's a question, but this is not related to our presentation. So we'll take it at another time. Okay, so now let's move on with the presentation because we are running out of time. Okay, so the 4 steps: rescue, recovery, rehabilitation, and release. Yeah, and this is what we do in our PFA hospital. Now, many of you may have seen all this and you've got interested, you're curious, you want to know, is there some way I can join? Is there some way I can help? And absolutely, you play a very, very big part in PFA, right? So the first step could be you spread awareness. Now you have seen this presentation, you know about PFA. So talk about it, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your family that, oh, you know, there is this place called PFA and they rescue wild animals. If ever you see an animal which needs help, please call them, right? So that is spreading awareness. You can have a special day in your school called Wildlife Rescue Day, and you can celebrate what PFA does, right? Another thing you can do is to adopt an animal. Now, this is not like adopting means you take it home and you keep it with you. No, the animal will stay in the PFA Wildlife Hospital, but you can help out. You can come there and you can help, or you can donate some money so that we can buy food for the animal. We can buy whatever the animal needs for its to take care of it, right? So this is adopting an animal. You can also volunteer. Now, of course, coming to the center and volunteering there is something you can only do once things return to normal after COVID. But do think about it. It's a beautiful center and you would love to see all the animals there. You can come and help out. Maybe with your family, with your older siblings and your parents, you can come visit. You can also volunteer online. There are other things that students and others like you have done to help. And most of all, make sure if you see any animal in need, a wild animal in need, please call PFA. Yeah? So any injured animal, lost animal, baby animal, please call PFA and we can help out. Okay, so other ways to help, you can plant native trees or local trees without pesticides so that there are no chemicals which harm the animals. You can also keep out water, especially during summer for birds. Birds get very hot and thirsty, so you can keep some water bowl for them. And things you should not do, things to avoid, would be to reduce single-use plastics like water bottles and plastic spoons and forks. A lot of this ends up thrown in nature, right? And we said right in the beginning, all this plastic may cause a lot of harm to wildlife. Now, this is something we feel very bad about. Some people, when they fly kites, the plaything kites, they use this type of thread called manja, which is like this nylon thread. Some people also call it Chinese manja. It's very, very harmful for birds. It kills thousands of birds every year. So please never use manja and never, please spread the word that no one should use it. In fact, the government has actually made it illegal to use manja, but still some people continue to use it and it harms a lot of birds. If you feel like flying a kite, please just use ordinary cotton thread. That is enough. Yeah, don't use manja and please tell everyone not to use manja. When you grow up, when you become big and you're looking for some work to do or what to study, you can also think of other things to study, like where you can become an animal rescuer, rehabilitator, or a vet, or you can conserve wildlife not just in the city but also in the forests. You can also become a scientist who does research to find out more about wild animals. What do they need to stay healthy and what are the things that we can do to help them out? So that's research. You can also become a photographer, photographing wildlife and sharing your photographs. This can be done as a full-time career or even just as a hobby. Like, for example, many people who have other careers, when they go on holiday or in their free time, they photograph birds and other animals so that they can share that with others and everyone gets more interested in wildlife. So these are our animal helplines. Please do note them down if you like. You can also Google it and you will find these numbers. You can also go to the PFA Bengaluru website and find these same numbers. If you store it on your cell phone, anytime you see an injured animal, you can quickly dial this number and call the rescuers, right? So please do note it down and ask your parents to store it on their mobiles. That way, anytime, anywhere, you can always call us, yeah, so that we can come and save the injured animal. And I'm leaving this on but now I can take the final questions. Teachers, can we take 5 more minutes for questions? I know we have exceeded the time by 5 minutes, but if we can take 5 more minutes.
Sure, ma'am. I'll just give the access.
Yeah.
Vatsala?
Yes, Vatsala, go ahead.
Vatsala?
I have the doubt that do bats have teeth?
Bats have teeth. Okay, they do. They are mammals, right? They are like very similar to us, to monkeys, but they have this amazing ability to fly, which none of us can do, right? So they are basically mammals in the same group as us, monkeys, elephants. All of us are in this group called mammals. So they do have teeth.
Advita?
Ma'am, I know that it's not really related to the PPT, but where is your hospital?
So it's in a place called Kengeri, which is, you can search for it on the web. You can look up Google Maps. It will show you the exact location. There's a very big hospital called BGS Hospital right next to the center. Yeah. So if you're coming with your parents or with your school, we would love to have your school come once COVID is, gone. Then you can all come and visit. You can do a field trip there. So please do consider it. Okay. Excuse me.
Shri Akshara?
Ma'am, I have a doubt that, ma'am, I'm confused. Ma'am, snakes, saying that not all of them have venom, but how do we know which ones have venom and which ones don't?
Wonderful question. It is very hard to tell. So you have to actually be quite an expert to know which is the snake that has venom and which doesn't. So the best thing to do if you see a snake is just assume that it has venom, right? And therefore behave in a way that gives the snake lot of space. Don't act in any way which could threaten the snake, right? Never go close to a snake, never try to touch a snake. Just assume that the snake has venom. Yeah. Stay very still, stay very quiet, and slowly, very slowly and softly take steps backwards so that to give the snake more room, more space to go away by itself. Yes? Okay.
Priyanshu? Priyanshu?
Ma'am, when release the animal back in the nature, then how do you track that they are comfortable in nature and they are okay?
Yeah, so just before the release, they do check that the animal is fully healthy. So again, the doctors make sure the animal is fit, is healthy. They check that the animal is able to eat properly. If it's a bird, they check that the bird is able to fly. Only then they release it into nature. And after release also, they may wait there for some time to check that the animal is doing fine before they leave. Yeah. Next question.
Vihan K. Vihan, your mic is unmute, but we cannot hear you. Whether you are speaking, unmute and again mute and again unmute. Vihan, we cannot hear you. Yes, now speak once again. Okay.
Maybe the volume of your speaker is very low, or
Vihan, we cannot hear you anyways. Okay, we'll go to the next child then. Akrit. Vihan, you can unmute yourself and try one more time. Akrit can ask by the time.
Ma'am, now?
Yes, Vihan, we can hear you. Akrit, you will wait. Let's Vihan complete and then you can ask.
Ma'am, somebody told that in COVID we got the help of that pollution thing, ma'am. So, but in that the biggest profit was there for the masks and that sanitizers and hospitals, ma'am. They got lot of profit.
yes, that's true. It was a good business for them, but that happens sometimes. It was just the thing. We do need those things, right? Those are the things that kept us healthy. So one more question that often comes up during COVID is, some of you may have heard this story, that COVID came from bats. So bats are the ones that caused COVID, and bats are bad, right? This is a story many people believe, and now some people, even if they see bats near their house, they get scared. This is again a wrong story, which people have not understood properly. So what happened was the bats, which may have caused COVID, first of all, it's not fully 100% proven yet, but even if they did, they were actually trapped by humans. They were kept in cages. Many of them kept very close to human beings in cages. And it's only when such things are done, some human beings may have even tried to eat the bats, right? So such kind of activity where you trap wild animals, you keep them very close to you in your house or in a market, or you try to eat them, that is when the disease jumps from the animal to the humans, right? So it is only when such things happen. If you see wild bats flying in your garden or near your house in some park, nothing will happen. The bats are not going to cause you any disease. It's not going to cause you any harm, right? Okay.
Can we go to the next question, ma'am?
Sure. Next question.
Akrit.
Yes, ma'am. So, that place you mentioned where the PFA center is,
Yes.
is it somewhere far away from Bangalore?
No, it's within Bangalore. It's in an area called Kengeri, which is within Bangalore. It may not be near your house, but if you just ask your parents, you look it up on the mobile in the map, you will find it. It's marked on Google Maps. It's very easy to find. Yeah. So with the help of your parents, surely you will be able to find it. Okay. Next question.
Ashwat.
Ma'am, like if you take the animal and release it into the nature, like what if it had a parent and then but the parent was somewhere else and then it got injured right next to the parent and you take it and you go and keep it somewhere else, like then?
Very good question, Ashwant. That's an excellent question. Yes, that is something we have to be very careful before taking an animal from nature. Sometimes a bird may be sort of ready to leave the nest. It has little bit of flying, but it may still fall down. That doesn't mean it needs to be rescued. It may be able to by itself jump on a branch and in a few days be able to take care of itself and fly. So the rescuers and human beings like us, we have to be very careful to make sure the animal needs help. So just like a friend of yours, your classmates mentioned, a snake might come into the garden, but it's a healthy snake. That kind of animal doesn't need our help, right? By itself, if you just give it some space and some time, it may go away by itself, right? Many times birds, they migrate thousands of miles. And in that process, they get very tired, very hungry, very thirsty. So they may just stop in a balcony or in someone's compound or garden because they are just so tired, right? This animal may not need to be rescued. If we just keep a little bit of water near it, it may drink some water and in 1 or 2 hours or maybe overnight, right? It will just sleep for the night and then it can start its journey again, right? So we do have to check, does this animal really need our help or can it manage by itself? Yeah, very good question. Next question.
Rakshan.
Ma'am, actually in my hometown, we cleaned the balcony shelf. From there, 5 adult bats flew and we saw 2 baby bats over there.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes bats, they usually are in trees or in caves. But sometimes, as I said, they may not realize that, oh, this is a house. They are just looking for some quiet, dark place where they can rest during the daytime, right? So by mistake, they may have come near your roof thinking this is a safe place for us to be. Yeah, sometimes it happens. Sometimes birds also build their nests inside a house, on top of a cupboard or underneath the roof, thinking, okay, this is a safe place for our babies, right? So they don't realize that this is a human being's house. We just have time for a few more questions. We've already taken 15 minutes extra of your time. So thank you so much.
Another 5 minutes, ma'am. Another 5 minutes more, Madhavi.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Janvi.
My doubt was like when you said that if an animal has like broken its bone or something, so you put a surgery. But ma'am, suppose we have a turtle, so if we do direct surgery, it will hurt the turtle. So how can we put anesthesia, because it will get scared? We can't put it in its shell and it will go inside its shell. So how can we put anesthesia?
Right. So just as human doctors, we cannot give directly anesthesia to anyone, right? We have to be trained for years, become a doctor, become a surgeon. Only then you will know the exact way, what to do, how to do it properly without harming, right? Same way for vets. Vets also receive years of training. So they have the way of doing it properly. Yeah, so if you and I try to do it, we will not be able to do it properly and we may harm the turtle. But the vets know the proper technique, they know how to do it so that they can do it without harming the animal. Yeah?
Okay.
Then Ria, I have unmuted your mic, Ria.
Yeah, ma'am, I just wanted to ask, like, what if if you rescue a bird, what if the bird never be able to fly? Then can you release it to the wild?
Right, very good question, Ria. Actually, we have had cases of that happen. Sadly, when birds sometimes are kept with human beings, right? Maybe a fortune teller has kept a parakeet in a cage. They sometimes actually cut the wings and they do so much damage to the bird that the bird is never able to regrow its feathers and fly again. In very sad cases like this, we do have animals that stay in PFA forever. So in some cases, there are some monkeys, yeah, because of human cruelty, they have their arms or legs have been removed, or there's a monkey or macaque, that poor thing has lost its sight, it's blind, right? So such animals, of course, we cannot release it into the wild because they cannot go and search for food. They cannot live by themselves. So such animals, we keep them in PFA forever. Yeah, we take care of them forever. Every day we feed them, we take care. If they get sick, we take care of them. Yeah, but it is only because they cannot live in the wild. Otherwise, we would never keep an animal in a cage. Yeah. Next question.
Mihika, I have given access. Mihika, you can ask, dear.
Write the PFA number.
Yeah, it's on the screen. Can you see it?
Ma'am, I have shared that particular slide picture in our team. So kids,
wonderful.
Yes. That numbers and website address slide I have shared in our team also. So you people can get that slide.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. Such a good idea. Yes. And also, please remember, anytime if suppose you're not here, you can always look it up on Google, look up the website. This number is very easily available. Yeah. Just search for PFA Bangalore. PFA Bangalore will take you both to Google and to the website. You will get the number. Next question.
Adya? Adya?
Ma'am, like in zoos they give food and all, and for us they say do not give food. So the zookeepers also, they need to be vets, right, ma'am?
Yeah, so not all zookeepers are vets. They do have some vets in the zoo. Yeah, or they may have vets on call. Like just as we may not have a doctor in our house or in our building, but we have the number of the doctor to call, right? If someone falls sick. Same way, the zoos also have, either they may have a vet in the zoo but all the zookeepers are not vets, but they have been trained. So every person who works in the zoo would have received training on how to deal with the animals. How should you feed it? What should you feed it? How should you behave when you're near that animal? Right? All this is very important training which they receive. Yeah. Next question. I think there's a girl called Shaina whom I can see on screen who has been waiting very patiently. Can we give her a turn, please?
Okay. Eva can ask, and by the time I'm giving access to Shaina also.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Eva, if you cannot unmute, by the time Shaina, you can ask, and if then by the time Eva can unmute, then Eva can also ask.
Sure. Okay, go ahead, Shaina.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I wanted to ask, you told we should not shout when a snake is there. But even if we shout, how will the snake know we are shouting?
Correct. Very nice question. I love that you were paying such close attention, Eva. I mean, China, that's wonderful. I really, really love your observation and your, concentration. So you are right. The reason is it's not that the shouting that the snake will hear, but usually when we shout, it means we are upset, right? We are panicked. We will shout, we will move our hands, right? Or we may try to run. Yeah. Now the hand movement the snake can see, the running the snake will feel, and immediately it'll think the human is trying to attack me. Yeah. So the reason we say be quiet is not so much because the snake can hear you, but because it goes along with feeling scared. Oh no, snake, oh my God. Immediately the snake is going to think this big, huge human is trying to attack me. Let me attack first and save my life. Yes, beautiful, Shaina. Thank you for your concentration. Okay, Eva, go ahead.
Eva,
Ma'am, what is masa? I was telling something that birds, it can kill birds.
What was, can you say that word again, Eva?
Masa. It was like
Masa.
Manja, ma'am. She's talking about manja.
Manja. Yes, absolutely. So manja is a type of thread which is made out of synthetic material. Yeah. So it is very, very strong. It never breaks. What happens is when people are flying the kite in the air, that the toy kite in the air, sometimes a bird may fly and the manja gets caught in its wing and it never breaks. So that wing is caught, and because of that, the bird can't fly. Sometimes, when they are flying the kite falls on a tree, and the manja gets caught up in the tree. And while the bird is sitting in the tree, the bird's feathers may get caught in manja. Sometimes birds don't even realize what it is, and they just see some colorful thing. And when they are trying to build their nest, they may think, oh, this may be a nice thing to put in my nest. And then the poor baby birds get stuck in the manja. Yeah. So the thing, what we are asking is, please don't use such type of manja. In 10 years ago, or say 20, 30 years ago, there used to be ordinary cotton thread, which used to be used for flying kites. What is the difference? Cotton thread breaks easily, right? So even if a bird's wing gets stuck, if it pushes its wing with force, the thread will break and fall, right? And it can fly away safely. But with this new type of nylon or Chinese manja, it is not able to break it. So it keeps remaining stuck and the bird may fall, it may get very badly injured. Yeah. So thank you for asking that question, Eva. Teacher, should we stop here? Would you like to continue? I'm fine to continue. It's up to you.
Ma'am, we'll stop, ma'am. Children, if you have any questions, any more questions, please write it down and give it to your class teacher. Next session, we will have a brief session answering.
Sure.
Thank
you can
so
also
much,
send you can also send your questions to your teacher and they can send it to me by email. I can respond via email. You can also post it in the same group, your this channel. So please don't worry if your questions haven't been answered. We'll surely find a way for it to be answered. Yeah. So
Ma'am,
yeah.
I want to show you something, ma'am. Can I show my daughter?
Children, after this, you need to join 11 o'clock class, children. Your 11 o'clock class. Okay, 3A needs to join social class, 3B SPA, and 3C Hindi class. Okay, no, 3D. 3D social, 3E SPA, and 3F your Hindi class. Okay, children. Thank you, children. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the session.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for being such a wonderful audience, both students as well as teachers. The teachers, thank you so much for all your help during the session as well as for organizing it. And students, I really loved your questions and I'm waiting to hear more. I'm looking forward to the next time we can all meet. So please do continue your interest and we will see you soon. Yeah. Thanks and bye everyone.
Thank you so much,
Bye.
ma'am. It was a very nice session, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, ma'am. Bye, kids. You can leave this meeting and you can join your respective classes.